Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Wherever you call home, we are there. In favorite places, large spaces, for many homes we have coverage that fits the way you live. And with our home systems protection, you can cover major home appliances and more. We cover more type of homes than ever. Get the coverage you and your family deserves. For a free no obligation quote, visit us online or simply give us a call.
Back at you in Gloves Off, and today we have a great guest, the Chief Appraisal Director of the Webb County Appraisal District, Bob Peregoy, and we're going to touch base on how to gain access on protests and all that good stuff that a lot of people do not understand. How are we doing this morning?
Oh, we're doing all right, buddy. Yourself?
Good. I'm glad you came on.
Hey, happy to do it.
There's a lot of questions out there. The number one question is, everybody believes that the Homestead exception or automatic. They're not. Can you explain that?
Sure. So you're correct. The Homestead exemption, although widely available, is not an automatic exemption. Anyone who's seeking to get a Homestead exemption on their property is required under state law to file a general homestead application for whatever property they live in primarily. And then we will receive that application along with a copy of their driver's license, and we'll just make sure that all of the information is valid, and then we can proceed with implementing the exemption for that property on our side. But it is definitely not an automatic exemption. And it's not an automatic exemption simply because state law requires that whatever property gets applied for on the homestead side, that it is the principal residence of the individual who is applying. And the application process affords us the opportunity to engage with the property owner and just make sure that we are, in fact, granting an exemption for their primary residence.
Absolutely. Now, here goes another question. How common is it for people not to file the exemption application?
It's pretty common. So Webb County, overall, countywide, we typically at any point in time will carry roughly 42 to 43,000 homestead exemptions. Now, under section 25.192 of the property tax code, I am required every spring to send a notice to property owners that could potentially qualify. That number is roughly around 8,000 in a given year. And maybe that owner doesn't necessarily qualify for that property, but it's likely that they very well could qualify. So we do send them that postcard just to let them know, hey, we noticed that you own this property at this address. We noticed that your mailing address for this property is the same address. We think you could possibly qualify for this homestead. Come see us, give us a call, send us an email, and we'll be happy to look into that for you in hopes of making that homestead number grow.
Absolutely. And people should take advantage of that. And if you
For
do
sure.
get that, just don't throw it away. And if somebody wants to check, they can check and they can do this at any given time during the year, correct?
At any given time, there are application timelines that do exist in the property tax code. However, there's also plenty of state law that gives wide flexibility for individuals to come in at any point in the year, apply for the homestead on the property that could qualify, and then we will apply that as far back as we can go, which normally is current year. Like right now, we're working in 2025. If somebody applies today and we go through that application process and we determine, oh wow, this property owner, started living in this property in 2022. Well, we'll go through that review process, and the property tax code will allow me to apply that exemption for now, 2025, and it will also allow me to apply that retroactive for 2024 and 2023. I just can't go back any further than that.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. There's a lot of questions out there, and one of them is always people are complaining about the appraisal's not right. They want to protest, and a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't.
Right.
Tell me the process, or how does one go about in doing it?
So we certainly understand that people are going to have widespread disagreements with the values that come out of our office. It's a mass appraisal environment. I'm required by state law to do my best to estimate a market value for every piece of taxable property that we all see as we drive around this county. In a lot of cases, we get pretty close to where it should be. In some cases, we're under where it should be. And in some cases, we're over where it should be. It's just a natural consequence of how this process was developed. For those that believe their appraisal is too high, we certainly understand that, and we are certainly happy to look into that. And there's several avenues property owners can take to file a protest with our office. The one that we recommend the most is to go to my website. You'll see a tab called Online Services, and you want to create a public portal profile. And it's a very simple, straightforward process. It's your name, it's a valid email address, and a good contact phone number for you. That's it. That's all we ask of you. Create that profile just like you would any other online system. And once you're in there, on your appraisal notice that you've received for your particular properties, you're going to see a 4-digit PIN colored in red. You'll go into your profile, you'll add those properties to your profile, input the PIN. That's how we validate that it's actually you creating this profile. And from there, you'll be able to not only file a protest, but you can file a homestead online. If you're a business personal property owner, you can file your renditions online. If you're a ranch landowner, you can file your ag applications online. There's a lot of functionality in the public portal that gives us a direct connection to you without you having to leave the comfort of your own home. So that's the one we recommend the most, because that's the easiest and most convenient for the property owner. They don't have to print anything, bring it over, take time from their workday or what have you. And it allows a direct connection to us. So you can send us information, we can send you information, and it's a very fluid process. So that's one way. The other way is to do the old school way. You get your notice, flip it on the back, fill out that protest form that's on the back of your notice, and you can either scan and email that to us, you can fax it to us, you can walk it in to us, and we'll be happy to accept that, get the protest created. The other way to do it is very simply, state law doesn't require that your protest be on that form. It can be in any written form. So if you have an email address for any one of us here at the appraisal district, all I need property owners to do is send us that email. Just make sure you identify the property that you're wanting to protest, be that through a property ID, a geo ID, or a physical address, and just state, I'm dissatisfied with my appraised value for XYZ property. Please accept this email as my formal notice of protest, and we will happily take that and push that forward to get that protest created. So, again, there's various ways that folks can protest. We try to make it as easy as we possibly can, as comfort-based as we possibly can, and user-friendly. So those would be the primary ways that folks would be able to communicate with our office that they're unhappy with their value for the current year.
Absolutely, and that's a good way, and it's very friendly to your offices, and I want to thank you for that.
We try to be.
Well, you do. You all. One that comes to mind is, well, when somebody has multiple properties, can they protest all of them, or just one, or how does that portal would work?
If a property owner creates their one profile and they have 10, 15, 20 properties, they can add all 20 to that one profile. and they can protest all of them from that one profile. They don't, it's not, one login, one property. No, 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 no. It's just that one single profile. They can add all of the properties they own, and they can submit all 20 protests in a matter of 5 minutes or less.
Absolutely. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Is there any new changes in the state laws towards taxes, or what are the new changes that have come of age?
So there's nothing new that's passed yet. And I say yet because the legislature is in session. Assuming they have no plans for a special session, that session will end in approximately a month. I can't recall the exact date that they adjourn the legislature, but it's normally around mid-June. Your larger ticket items that on the tax side that people are going to want to pay attention to is two things. Number one, as you may recall, last session, they increased the general homestead, the mandatory general homestead amount from 40,000 to 100,000. They are looking to now increase that again from 100 to 140,000. That's on the general homestead side. For our over 65 owners, they were last session increased to 150,000. And there's now been a bill filed that increases the exemption for all of our over 65 homeowners to 200,000. So those two changes will have very large impacts on the tax side, which is a great thing for everybody. So those are the two that I would definitely pay attention to, keep an eye on the news. They have not fully passed the legislature yet. I believe they are currently through the Senate and are now moving into the House of Representatives. I do expect them to pass, and I do obviously expect the governor to very happily sign them. If the governor signs them, if the current language in the legislation stands, I will implement those exemption amounts immediately on my side. It does have to go to the voters, which will be on the ballot in November, because it is a constitutional amendment. But again, the likelihood of that not passing is next to zero. So Absolutely. We will implement, if it does pass and the governor signs it into law, we will implement those changes on my side immediately. We will go through the election process in November, and everyone will very likely get their 2025 tax bills with those changes in place.
Absolutely. And so it still has to go through the process of an election.
Yes.
Is this going to be general, or is it just going to be for school?
It is only for school district taxes. Cities, counties, and other taxing units, they do not have a state mandatory exemption amount like the school districts do. Now, all of our taxing units in Webb County do offer an over 65 exemption, but aside from our school districts, none of our units currently offer what's called a local option homestead exemption.
Okay. What are the things you see coming up that people need to pay attention to?
I would say in the immediate, my protest deadline under state law is May 15th. I would definitely encourage folks to take a look at your appraisal notice. Those went out in the latter part of March. Everyone's had them for about 6 weeks now. Take a look at that. If you're interested in protesting, just make sure that you please do so no later than May 15th, 2025. Beyond that point, it gets a little more difficult for folks to at least get entitled to relief. There are avenues that they could take, but in order to make it easier for everybody, just make sure that you get your protest in no later than May 15th of this week. And then for those that have already protested, just keep an eye out for communications from us. If you have issues you want to bring to us, we are always receptive to hearing taxpayer concerns, making adjustments to our appraisals. We certainly understand that, although we strive for perfection, it's a tough thing to hit every nail on the head. So we're always receptive to working with property owners and making those adjustments. And then once we certify the roll in the latter part of July, everybody just, be ready for the tax bills that will come around October.
I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. and keeping that office running the way it is. Great job. Not because you're here, but I've seen it firsthand.
We appreciate it.
And anything else? And just I said, folks, if you have to protest, get that protest in by the 15th of this month. And the process is easy. People are friendly. Get it done if you have to. And my friend, thank you for coming out. And we'll leave you with this. You all stay safe over there, and everybody out there. Thanks for watching. See you until next time. Much peace.
So when I was working on Selena, the series for Netflix, to play the role of Abraham Quintanilla, I put on a specific amount of weight, which I was fine doing, but also realizing it could be difficult to get that weight off. I got back into my physical regimen with James Leja, but I was still having trouble with just those last amounts. And that's when I got to meet Arturo from Laredo Medical Weight Loss Clinic. And just the products that he gave me kind of put me over the edge. I feel great about myself.